Hey, Jill.
You should.
Well, yeah, that's the word. It's like that. First line, so I don't know. Yeah. And then the second comment, just like this one, I said, I'll be at the meeting. Like I said, I don't know.
I can't get on.
Might be that remote working that far away.
Maybe, I was at, Mark stands here, does it?
Yeah, internet.
Yeah, but he stands a lot higher.
Hey, Brad, are you connected to the internet?
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Has BOE guest?
Let me verify which one I'm connected to. You know what? Yeah, BOE guest.
I shut down. Maybe I need to shut down. Maybe I can.
I had to forget it and re-add it the last meeting, because I'm not sure what happened.
Absolutely. No.
Oh, well.
100%. It's just a strong adjective, you know?
Yeah.
Very.
Too bad.
Yeah.
Hi, Jill. Hi, Robin.
Hi.
Yeah.
Oh, do you have the camera?
I had to walk through there.
I didn't like to touch it.
We gotta go.
Did you switch my chair?
What? I did, yeah. Sorry about that.
Did you really?
No.
I was like, I didn't even see you do that.
I'm not
It's like I'm
fast.
sitting down. Oh, goodness.
Yeah, we are alive, just FYI.
It gets real quiet.
Nobody's talking.
Everybody, please turn your cell phones on quiet. Good. Hi, Andrew. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Wonderful.
Hey, Dan.
How are you, Jade?
Last I heard she was.
Okay.
I got your chair all ready.
Oh, thanks.
Yep.
She said unless something came up at work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are these loud enough?
We did,
No
that,
names.
so it should be good. We don't
Okay.
use that box, so they should still be good.
Okay, just remind everyone, make sure your microphone is in the area. Okay,
Hi.
I guess everybody had a good Christmas, so I haven't seen some of you
Seems like
since then.
eternity ago.
Hey Kathleen.
I know, I was surprised to only see we had minutes for
Hi.
one meeting in our
Yeah.
packet. I was like, double checking.
Hi, Kathleen.
I think she's coming. 5 minutes yet?
I was here and my daughter called and said, I know, I said I could do this.
Yeah, because they are on.
Be right there.
Penny, has your nameplate always been blank, or is it just me I'm noticing tonight?
Well, so I couldn't know where to sit.
Oh, there you go.
There she is.
There you are.
Some of them are two-sided, I guess mine's not.
I assume they all were.
Yeah.
Hello. How are you? Good. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, I should have brought my laptop. My iPad doesn't want to make a connection. Did you get in? No. Did you? Yeah. Yeah. I did once and then it was so slow. I thought I'll just restart. And I restarted and I can't get in. Need paper, I've got mine printed out. Do you need a paper copy? I had mine printed in case you need paper. Oh, okay. I, for some reason, I can't get a connection.
You know what? I lost mine.
Can you get on?
I'm logging back in right now.
I can't. There you go. Your new one.
If
You can take it out of there.
cheat off.
That's fine.
There you go. Yeah, we share.
You have the privacy screen.
That's it.
Okay.
All right, see if we can work this time. Oh.
Are you signed in? I can't, I haven't got in yet.
Yeah.
She's like
I-
having
None of us can get in.
I can't get in.
Life gone in.
I was
and it
like, all I see is.
kicked me
None of
off.
us.
Where's the help desk?
It's on right there.
Like, do this whole spreadsheet
Spinning
for
and
all these
spinning.
drivers, like.
I'm connected.
pay, I'm like,
Well, Steve can't, Jane
I think
can't, I
Steve got back.
can't.
Yeah.
Jane, you can't connect?
I can't either.
Is it just you, Jane?
No, it didn't, I think I did, no, it didn't, and it says I'm
Gotcha.
at guest DOE guest. It didn't ask me for a password, so I can't get to boardbook.
Really?
It'll show the agenda on it.
Oh, there it is.
You need a Windows update or something? Because I was having that.
Where you
And then I
at?
did an update and now it's fine. Just this, yeah, just over the weekend.
Usually mine will automatically.
Yeah, there she is.
Did you get it, James?
Nope.
Robin, try going back to your email, clicking on the link to board like it's condition.
I think this is network. Sure.
Well, your ski trip sure looked like fun.
We had such a good time.
Yeah.
Kick it off again?
Isn't it fun when you go someplace with your kids?
But it's showing on connected, but it's showing no internet connection.
Gets him off the hook for like a month. IT problems.
Close that browser, see if you can look at it in the new browser.
Yeah, I didn't know.
With Zoom, he's in here today.
Right, right,
Yeah.
yeah. Right, exactly. Yeah.
So we find
Close the whole
that
thing
they're
down.
good with the best ideas, but they're right.
Yeah.
Oh, she picked it up.
Let's do that. you.
Yeah.
You got it, finally.
Yeah.
You know,
Everybody.
we had a really good time. So they're already talking about like.
Yeah, that's right.
Just taking this time to get to the actual.
I know, we just can't get away from the warm weather thing. Katie Smith doesn't get to play golf now yet. So that if she's going to go on a work, she has to do something, she's playing golf, you know, so we still don't.
Get on, but it kicks off.
Well, Meredith, you got
It's on the
that.
internet.
Yeah.
Same thing. That's what's happening.
So-
It was happening to me last week and then I did Windows update on the weekend and now.
Right.
Okay, what is that?
Oh, there you go. I'm good now.
You're good?
He just closed his browser all the way out.
That's what I just had her do, is close the browser.
Make sure her to get her.
That works for Robbins too.
So.
There must have been some.
Yeah, that's kind of, that can be the
That's why I
best way to do
stopped
it.
using mine.
Yeah.
I couldn't get anything.
Me too.
Really?
Till over the weekend.
I used to, and now I keep going back to the paper.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Can we print her out something?
You just print it, you have email it to you, right? You have packet too, you have email.
Right, right. Yeah.
You've already got it memorized, don't you think?
You're probably not far off.
Don't we all?
I'd be all the time for that. Policy.
Yes. My favorite story. She moved it before.
We're gonna go ahead and call our meeting to order. We can rise and say the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Go ahead and get a roll call.
Steve Bone,
Yes.
Angie Byers.
Yes.
Robin Klosterman,
Yes.
Brad Waldoff,
Yes.
Jill Enling,
Yes.
Jane Wellenberg,
Yes.
Kathleen Smith, yes.
We didn't have anyone who wished to address the board this evening. So we are going to go ahead and move on to the financial report with Mr. Fox.
Okay.
1 second though, Jane, were you able to get that?
I'm just hit send. So wait for this.
I got in if Jane wants this written copy.
You're back in?
I got in, yes.
I'm still
There
standing.
you go.
There you go, Jane.
She's good.
Robert's back in, so here's the paper copy.
All right, thanks. It's still thinking. Okay, Mr. Fox, whenever you're ready.
Okay, for December, January, fund balance, the net fund balance was $23,703,248.56. Operating funds made up $18,166,065.64. And HLS funds made up $3,398,463.13. With those fund balances, remember, we had not received our last property tax payment. So that's why when you look at the next page, it looks like they're down from last year. We have received that now, however, so next month you'll see that in there. Revenue, education fund, locally, we received $261,862.85. From the state, we received $576,722.73. And from federal government, we received $314,423.28. All expenses over $5,000 are listed out separately within your packet. And our recommendations this month are to reimburse the interest account in the amount of $223.59, and the payment of bills totaling $688,473.27. Are there any questions I can answer for you on the financials?
No questions. Okay. Without hearing any, we would need a motion to approve the financial report to reimburse the reimbursed account in the amount of $223.59 and the payment of bills in the amount of $688,473.27.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Brad. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Robin. Roll call.
Angie Byers.
Yes.
Robin Klosterman.
Yes.
Brad Waldoff.
Yes.
Joe Enling.
Yes.
Jane Willenberg.
Yes.
Kathleen Smith, yes. Steve Bone.
Yes.
I'm going to go ahead and move on to the consent agenda. In your packet, we had minutes for our December 21st meeting, which was listed on page 70. On page 77, the cafeteria report is enclosed. Fundraisers are on page 79, which is the EJHS library. We'll have a small school store where students may purchase earbuds and small school supplies. This will be January 26th to the end of the school year, and it's to raise funds for the library to sponsor library incentives and book club. And we do not have any field trips. Do we have any questions regarding the consent agenda?
I was curious on the cafeteria report. I love this new form that Denise is preparing for us, but that total revenue and total expense, that's just for the month?
Yes.
Okay. And is that, and I looked back, just 1 month back in November, we had the same kind of report, so it was similar that we could look at. But, I mean, this showed that we had quite a bit more revenue than expenses, whereas last month, or not last month, it would have been November, it showed that we had quite a bit more expenses than revenue. So is there an uneven pattern there, or I was just curious why there was such a difference in December?
Our food service director was quarantined last month, and so she was not here to submit that last month for part of the revenue. And so she had to submit it when she came back, which meant it came into this month versus last month. So it should be more even in months coming, but she was out with a quarantine, and so that's why it was
All right,
off.
I was just so curious why there
Yeah.
was such a huge difference from
Yeah.
1 month to the next.
Yeah, you should see it level out. It was only because in the previous month, she had been out during that time. So
Thanks.
Is there any other questions? If not, we would need a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Motion Steve, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second Jill. Roll call.
Robin Klosterman.
Yes.
Brad Waldoff.
Yes.
Jill Wenling.
Yes.
Jane Willenberg.
Yes.
Kathleen Smith, yes. Steve Bone.
Yes.
Angie Byers.
Yes. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to correspondence. We actually have quite a few here. The first one, thank you for the ham certificate. Much appreciated from Vicki Stuckemeyer. Just wanted to say thank you very much for the ham. I appreciate it so much. Hope everyone had a wonderful Christmas. I am proud to be part of the Effingham Unit 40. Have a great year, and thanks again, Jeannie Patterson. Thank you for the meal before break and the ham. Both were much appreciated. Sandy Lohman. Thank you for thinking of me this Christmas. My fiance and I enjoyed the ham over Christmas break. Easy meals. Mariah Tabbert. Thank you for the ham. Your thoughtfulness is appreciated. Blessings for happy, healthy, and prosperous 2021. Sherry Martin. Thank you so much for the ham. Your generosity is appreciated. Amy Nieberge. Thank you all so much for the ham for Christmas. Your kindness is so very appreciated. I hope you all have a very special Christmas. Lee Schrock. Thank you so much for the generous gift of the half ham for the holidays. Your gift is enjoyed by our family every year, and I am reminded of how blessed I am to work for this top-notch school district. Please accept my warm wishes for a blessed and Merry Christmas for the BOE members, staff, and your families. Deb Blankenship. Thank you so much for the potted plant. Greg really did love his job at Unit 40, especially the staff at the Early Learning Center, the Greg Langford family. Thank you so much for the stepping stone. It was greatly appreciated. The family of Greg Yoakum, Kathleen Smith's brother. And I am writing today to express my appreciation for the dedicated work of classroom and remote learning teacher, Mrs. Mindy Boswell. She has been very well organized in her presentations, demonstrated patience and compassion for individual students, and adapted very quickly to the technical issues that arise associated with remote learning. It is obvious to me that her personal preparations for the unique requirements that remote learning demands were thorough and well thought out. Lessons provide ample repetition, and support materials are very helpful to parents as well as students. Her use of Zoom allows student and teacher interaction, verbal reinforcement, and a real sense of connection. As a former outreach worker and technical assistant at EASY to teachers of learning disabled and behavior disordered students in over 30 school districts, I was privileged to work with many excellent teachers. Mrs. Boswell stands out among them as a truly exceptional teacher. Unit 40 is privileged to have her on staff, and I believe deserves special recognition for her outstanding work and service to our local school system. Kay Gruel, a grandparent of Central School remote learning student. And that is all for our correspondence. And we're going to go ahead and move on then to the superintendent's report.
Okay, thank you. The enrollment report is enclosed in regards through December 22nd, 2020. I also, excuse me, today we posted last week's COVID-19 numbers, so I just want to make sure that they are out there. People have seen those today, but just want to go through those. Knock on wood that we've seen a little bit of a change in those numbers, and hopefully we can continue down that path. But we have a total number of staff of 365, and presently, as of Friday, we had 0 staff quarantined, and we had 4 isolated, okay, out of 365. Total number of students were roughly around 2,355 students. We had 1 student isolated and 37 total quarantined. So those are really quite probably the best without going back and looking. So knock on wood, hopefully that continues. Just want to encourage everyone. I did send something out to the staff as well on Friday just to continue to make sure we use the mask and keep the social distance as best as possible. That's what our goal's been the whole year. And hopefully as we move forward, Monday, I believe it was the 18th, there was a vaccination drive-through for all of Effingham County, anyone associated with educational schools. That means any employee. And so I'm not sure exactly how many that went through there, but it was a first of 2. And so hopefully I know that they had those 75 and older last Friday, and anybody still, I'm sure they were full. I mean, I know they were full and still taking it, and then the next ones will be 65 and older. And then we have our weekly meetings, so hopefully we can figure out maybe we can have another educational group, because otherwise it'll be after hours and those types of things, but that's okay too. So I think middle February is when the next booster is supposed to be. And just want to say kudos to the health department. I know a lot of people get upset, have been upset, but being put in this position of handling this and the number of phone calls that they've received has been unbelievable. And a lot of them have worked 7 days a week since August. And they're doing the best they can, and we support them, and anything that we can do to help, we will. So if more information becomes available, we'll share that.
The next public vaccination clinic, I just found out, is going to be this Friday.
Okay.
That's for 65 and better.
Okay. So just wanted to share that. Oh, okay. Yes, we will. Thank you for reminding me. The foundation report is in as well. Todd, do you have any comments?
Would you like me to share that in a minute when I talk
Yeah,
about
that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, the next item I want to just kind of share is just the total remote learning numbers by grade level. I just, one of the items is that we've put forth is that trying to make sure that we try to help students be as successful as possible and partnering with parents and or guardians and our grandparents. So just sharing that information from August to to January. So at the high school level, in August 26th, we had 129 remote learners, and we're at 75 as of Thursday. Okay. At the junior high, we had 98 on August 26th, and now we're down to 44. At Central, we started with 77, and we're down to 45. At Southside, Southside was 56 in August, down to 18. And then ELC went from 28 to 4, and early childhood, we're at 7, down to 5. So, we went from around 395 students down to about 191. And that does fluctuate, but 17% of our student body down to 8. So, we are still finding, and we'll find out more, and I think in late February, third quarter updates will be coming out on grades. We'll see, and we're going to need we're going to start looking at summer support and those types of things, but we're trying to make sure that we help students succeed, and we're not going to be 100% successful, but that's our goal, and we're trying to do that. So just want to make sure we share those publicly, and thank you to our staff and our administrators for working hard in that direction. Is Mr. Wilton back there? Okay. I didn't know if he was back there or not. I don't have it on here, but I want to just talk about, I asked Dave to come and, get near the microphone, please. Just want to talk a little bit about IHSA and IESA issues that are going on, and everybody's interested in where we're going and what we're doing. So I'll talk in general terms, and I'll turn it over to Dave, and some of the questions we can't answer because on Wednesday, the IHSA Board of Directors will meet, and they will make some determinations on programs, sports, on timeline and when that will occur and whether they will move. Heard lots of rumors from Friday to today. So I don't know that anybody knows, but we will be starting ball games here at both the junior high and the elementary and the high school level. A couple items just to point out. I know I've had conversations with the superintendents in Apollo Conference, and we'll have one again on Thursday just to talk about consistency and how everybody's addressing some certain things. And then I know that the ADs and the administrators have also been in contact with each other as well, and will so throughout the week. But quite frankly, I was in some meetings that came out, found out we were in phase 4, which was a surprise to me, but a good surprise. So what that means in regards to athletics and sports is we're in phase 4, and all phase 4 regions can have ball games. So winter low-risk sports must conduct practice on 7 days prior to the first contest. So that, and I'll let Dave talk about who and what those are. Basketball teams must conduct 12 practices prior to their first contest. So they started we started practicing last week when that first came out. And so those we're marching forward there. One of the other things, it says right here, unless they change it, masks must be worn in practice and competition, which will be a change. So we'll be following that. In phase 4, you can have a maximum of 50 spectators. So one of the things we talked about in the Apollo Conference was to have home spectators only. So for example, when Effingham hosts a ball game, we could utilize all 50 of those. So we're not sending 25 to Mount Zion or Charleston or somebody else. So and vice versa, if when we go to travel, we wouldn't have any option. But I think, I haven't heard from everyone yet, but I think everyone's going to have an opportunity to watch in some way the games, whether it be on YouTube or whether it be through the Pixel-Lock camera system that the district purchased, so did T-Town. So there'll be that. These are 50 spectators outside the teams, right? So that was a clarification that the first thing, okay, 50, that's the whole team, that's the refs. It means nobody's there. but this is 50 outside the actual participants. And so we're still working through that. Right now, most likely in the Apollo Conference, we're not going to charge admission. We're not going to have concessions. Those types of things. It'll be strictly for the ball game. So that's kind of where we're at until we find out more on Wednesday, just some general topics. We've talked about a pass gate situation where we would start with senior participants and they would get two individuals. Our administrators, I want to be clear, we're not going to get into the point of picking those people. That's up to the student, and we're not going to get into a family issue. So we're talking about allowing seniors having 2, then going juniors 1, sophomores, freshmen, and then if there's additional coming back, then we'd start back up with juniors. So that's just until we hit 50. They'll have to be social distance. We're also looking at possibly having 50 for like the JV game, clearing out the gym and allowing 50 others. So the idea is if you're a JV parent, you can watch and then you'd have to leave and then the varsity would have 50 additional. That's some things that the Apollo Conference has talked about as an option. So those are just some things, trying to get as many up to 50 that we can get in there. So, but we would have people leave and then come back. We'll have cleaning stations at the beginning when the people come in. There'd be a pass gate. We would have the names prior to the game. So if I was playing, I would say, whether it was my mom or dad or whatever, or grandpa and grandma, however I wanted to do that, I'd give the name and then they would go through the pass gate. So that way we shouldn't have a bunch of people lining up saying, I want to get in. They should know beforehand who's coming. This also affects how many people you have, because of social distancing, can't have as many people at the table, so that kind of affects a little bit, some things you don't even think of, or at least I didn't think of. They've been talking over the weekend and gone that route. So I'll let Dave, if you have anything to add, go ahead and add. And if there's any questions, we'll try to answer them. We should have more information probably later in the week, though.
Well, the one thing I might add to the conversation, I think everybody needs to understand it's not what we're used to, and it won't be. Like Mr. Doan mentioned, I suggested today with the Apollo ADs that we try to play 3 games all in one night, play a freshman game and then a JV game and then a varsity game. And the kids that aren't playing would be located in a different room while they're waiting. The fans would be in the small gym until we're ready to bring them in for the next game. We really don't want fans to linger, in years past after the game, they'd wait for the kids to come out. And essentially we need everybody to come in, watch their child, and then depart when the game's over with. So, but like he mentioned, there's just going to be lots of things that are different this year than what we're used to. One other thing, which, we're talking about the gym, but we're applying all these things to all the sports and activities, not just, the gym sports, but hopefully everybody will be understanding and work with us. I've met with a large group of kids throughout the day today and talked to them about the importance of following the guidelines so that we can maximize our opportunities. We've all seen the professional games and the college games being canceled due to issues. And we have to be prepared for that. If we have something, then we're going to have to react according to IHSA guidance. And it may mean a couple of kids, it might mean the whole team, but hopefully if we try to get it done right, that none of those things will happen. But it's evident that it's happening all over the country. So hopefully everybody will understand all that.
Can you address just junior high real quick, what you've done there?
Okay. We got the Pixelot cameras out at the outdoor facility and then also in the main gym at the high school. And myself and Mr. Fothery, and I've worked with the tech department as well as the maintenance crew to try to figure out a way to where we could have the junior high contests. So we're going to have those similar to the way we produce the board meetings. So we'll use a computer and a camera, and they'll be able to at least watch if they can't be there because of our number issues. So
It's not going to be as high quality as.
it's just an opportunity for them to see their kids or grandkids or friends or whatever.
Do you foresee the team in the home school streaming those events as opposed to us going there?
Yes,
having to
correct.
do our own thing?
Correct. I believe, I'm pretty sure that everybody in our junior high conference as well as our high school conference have that ability. Now it varies in, we're Pixelot and FHS. Somebody else's YouTube Live, it's just, it'll be a variety, and we'll try to get that information out as we receive it as to where to go to watch the game if you're a grandparent or a parent.
Yeah, just to clarify, I haven't heard back from 2 of our Apollo conference yet, but everyone else has some sort of format. Now, like the Pixelot one is it's a pay type of thing. Some of them are doing YouTube, which is not. So it may cost some, but it just depends. But I think even at the junior high, most of them are trying to do something to be able to see them. Are there any, we'll have more information later in the week. Once IHSA has their meeting and kind of shares, because this, I truly think, and Dave, you know more than I, but I think the information that comes out Wednesday is going to affect everything moving forward. Baseball, softball, football, track. I think all of that's going to be affected one way or the other. Because one of the concerns was having seasons together, overlapping. But we've said from day one that we're following, as long as we're following IHSA guidance, that's our path. So that's what we'll continue to do moving forward. Okay.
Thank you, Dave, for
Thanks,
coming in.
Dave.
Thank you.
That's all I had.
I'm going to go ahead and move on then to the old business. Every 6 months, closed session minutes and electronic recordings are reviewed to determine whether they should remain closed. In addition, we approve the destruction of closed session audio recordings prior to July 2019. So it is recommended to keep the following closed session minutes closed. These are all for 2019, January 7th and 28th, February 4th, 20th and 25th, March 11th and 25th, April 8th, 16th, 25th and 29th, May 20th and 21st, June 4th, 11th and 24th, and to destroy electronic recordings prior to July 2019. We would need a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Motion Kathleen, do we have a second? I'll second. Roll call?
Brad Woloff,
Yes.
Joe Enling,
Yes.
Jane Willenberg, Kathleen Smith, yes. Steve Bone.
Yes.
Angie Byers.
Yes.
Robin Klosterman.
Yes.
Last month, we posted policy updates and changes for public comment. Those are listed page 93 to page 166. So we would need a motion and a second to adopt the following board policies as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Motion Brad, we have a second?
I'll second.
Second Robin, roll call?
Jill Enling,
Yes.
Jane Willenberg,
Yes.
Kathleen Smith, yes. Steve Bone.
Yes.
Angie Byers.
Yes.
Robin Klosterman.
Yes.
Brad Woloff.
Yes.
Moving on to the technology update, Mr. Fox, would you want to share?
Sure. Laptop distribution is going very well. We are down to just a handful of kids at the high school and the junior high. Most of those kids are remote learners who just have not come in to get a device and may not until they have to. The central school is completely done. Every class down there has a cart in the classroom, equipped with a laptop for each of the students. Those are all identified with labels on the laptop and in the cart. And they're working on the bags for those now when teachers want to send those home. And then they finished second grade at the end of last week and started on first grade today. So right now they are building the carts out of carts we had and getting, setting up the images for first grade. So hopefully into this week, first of next week, first grade will be done. The iPad carts that we ordered, those extra 3, they just came in last Thursday, I believe it was. And so we'll start on iPads as soon as first grade is done. And we'll knock out kindergarten and preschool and on to the next project, right? So.
Nice. Thank you.
How are we faring so far? I know it's really early, but at the high school and junior high where they're taking the laptops home and back, are we faring as far as, damaged screens, all those keyboards, all those things we worried about?
I think right now we have about 20 broken screens. Not unusable, but damaged screens, I should say. And most of those happened in the first week. Then the kids realized, hey, I got to be a little more careful. This thing is a touch screen device. It is, and so we're developing that routine for getting them a loaner. And then while we fix the screen, because, we don't want to leave it any longer than we have to. So Jacob Jenkins, our tech guy, he has found the exact screen and has those in stock and has developed a plan for how to replace those. It takes him about 15 minutes to replace that screen. So
That's
Pretty good.
yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Jason. I'm going to go ahead and move on then to new business. We have Todd Schutte here to talk with us about the McKinney-Vento homeless update.
Would you like the foundation report first?
Sure.
Okay. We'll do that first. Foundation met on January the 11th. One of the items we talked about was scholarships at that time of year. So we'll be sending letters out this week, or that week. We sent them out for our scholarship sponsors. Applications to EHS students will be submitted, can be submitted between February 15th and March 31st. And then we discussed a scholarship event, some type of reception. We just don't know what's going to come. So there's going to be more discussion later on. Currently, we have somewhere between 41 to 46 total scholarships. But then we also had a committee that met last week, Robin, to talk about the number of scholarships versus the amount of scholarship money we give. So that's something that at our next meeting, that committee will come back and report as to their findings and what direction we're going to take as far as our scholarships go. But I think one of the long-term goals of Russ Marvel with the foundation was to, at some point, be able to provide every graduating senior a $500 scholarship. And so depending on where the committee wants to go with that, I know that's still his goal, and he's still a director on our foundation. So Russ may have a say-so in some of that as well. One of the things we also talked about was we had one of our directors volunteer to do our bookkeeping. So beginning in March this year, she will be our new bookkeeper. And we talked about a commitment from her. Actually, she volunteered a commitment of anywhere between 2 to 6 years. So we currently pay for a bookkeeper to do our books for us, so that's going to be a savings to us and ultimately dollars back to our students, our teachers, things of that nature. So we're hoping that's going to work out well. As far as teacher grants, we didn't get to do that this past fall. And so we talked about when we could do it next. The spring is a difficult time just because by the time we do the grants, send out the orders, get the material back, the teachers can't really use it that year. So we hope to do them again next fall. However, we had a donation from Washington Savings Bank, and it was earmarked specifically for EHS. So we are going to do teacher grants for EHS teachers in the spring. We'll do them the same way that we have in the past, which has been a submission online. The directors will be able to see all those, and we'll probably do a Zoom meeting where we'll call one into the meeting, have them present, and then go on to the next and then discuss after that. So we plan on doing that probably in March. Mr. Roberts and I talked about it. That may be the best time to get that done. Annual report time is here as well. Our bookkeeper has the paperwork ready to go. Robin Klotzman again has volunteered to help with that, which is a huge task, but I think Mary Bushy, one of our directors, is going to help as well. So hopefully Mary's going to take that torch. I don't want to say too much place to Mary, but it's a job, so maybe she'll try it out and do well with it. We also had a donation from Shoemaker Orthodontics to the tune of $3,000. We'll also use that towards grant requests or scholarships. And then Kohl's has been very good to us, volunteering their time and then giving us money for their volunteers. So in light of COVID, they can't really do things the same way, but if they can help in any way, they said that they would pay, their organization would pay $20 an hour for any one of their volunteers to help us with things that we may need done. So whether it's clerical work or things like that, they have people sign up to do these things, and then they've given us a number of checks over the last couple of years for their volunteer time. We use them an awful lot. So we'll figure out how we can use them in the future. We'll continue to do that. I think that's it with the foundation. Anybody have any questions as far as foundation goes? Okay, got a couple things. Robin, if you don't mind, I'm gonna pass these out, and you can just take one and pass one down. Here's Robin here. So I wear a hat in this district. I am the homeless liaison for Unit 40. We as a district are required to meet the McKinney-Vento Homeless Assistance Act guidelines. So bottom line is the first single sheet that's coming around is a fact sheet that we have posted on our webpage and posted in buildings throughout the district. And it's a sheet that when you go on our webpage and click under click on parents, go down to registration, and click on registration. On that page on the right hand side is a link for this fact sheet. It's there so that when someone registers, they can read this, and if they feel they qualify, you see up the very top of that in that first box, doubled up children, children in shelters, living in motels, migratory children, runaways, lockouts. Those are types of things that qualify them as a homeless youth. If they feel that they qualify for that, they reach out to the secretary, to a counselor, to myself, and we talk to them about their living situation and what's going on. At that moment, we kind of have a process that the secretaries or the guidance office will fill out information, send it to me. We'll look at that situation that they're in, and we'll flag them as homeless if they, for example, are living in a motel. They don't have adequate shelter. So they get flagged as a homeless student. That allows them to have a free lunch. That allows them to have fees waived. And then we can provide assistance in other ways. For example, clothing if they need it, hygiene products if they need them, school supplies if they need them. We have dollars through Title I that is set aside every year. Our set aside amount is $1,000. In recent years, I can't remember using much of that money at all, simply because we come from a community that gives back. I have a clothes closet at Central that has unlimited sizes of clothing for children, especially our age at Central, plus school supplies, plus hygiene products. When kids need those things, we have them. I have kids that come to school every day right now that come to school and take showers at Central in the morning before they start their day. Sometimes we wash their clothes for them. So we provide some of those things. I don't know that anyone realizes that we do some of those things. And I've got staff that step up and do that every day. And I know that occurs in other buildings around the district. So those are some of the things we do. That's kind of the long of it. But every 3 years, we have to go through a compliance visit. So this year was our compliance visit. The stapled pages that I gave you is the report that Mary Adams sat down with me and Angela Reeder. They're from the Regional Office of Education. And we just discussed everything that's listed there. I'm the liaison. My last training was this past July. I had to do the kickstand training, which I believe was the federal training. Our secretaries and guidance counselors receive training through the ROE, usually in May, when that opportunity comes up. Then you can see that there are certain duties that I have as far as if a student comes into the district, I have to enroll them immediately if they're in a situation that they may be homeless. We have to allow them to enroll without receiving the necessary documents that we're supposed to have, for example, a birth certificate or records from the previous school, et cetera. We have to allow that to happen right away. That's some of the guidelines that we follow with the McKinney-Vento Act. So we go through all that information on the second page, identifying and reporting. We have to report that information to the state. Currently, we have, at the time of this report, you can see on the last page at the bottom, third page at the bottom, K-12 students, we had 78 students identified as homeless youth in our district. I've had 2 more added since then, so we're at 80 right now. That's a number down from last year, believe it or not. But we do have some of that in our district. People they're really not aware that it's there. We go through all these things every 3 years, and it turned out after I turned in all of our information, she's very pleased with the preparation that we had. Gave her all of our policies, et cetera, and there were no findings for our district. So we had a grade A rating, I guess I could say. So all in all, things went really well with that visit that day. We're doing our job. We're doing what we're supposed to be doing. Hats off go to our secretaries and our guidance counselors. They're kind of our first line to meet those kids and to identify if they're in need. They give me that information. We talk about the situation they have and we provide the assistance those kids need when they need it. It helps them through their education.
I think I'd ask Todd to come through and come and visit and just share with the board. I think it's important that the public understands of some of our kids are really fighting against an uphill just to get an education. And these items that some of us take for granted, some of our kids don't have. And so it's another way that the district and our staff have stepped up and to support these children and students. And it's been going on for years, but I wanted to make sure that we brought it to a board meeting. So Todd, thank you so much for sharing. Appreciate you overseeing the project and being the liaison and also helping our kids where we can.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to we have graduation discussion listed here.
Yes. Kurt, you want to move up to the hot chair? Wanted to bring to the board and have a discussion tonight. I want to talk a little bit about graduation. It'll be here before we know it. We're looking probably leaning towards a May 23rd date. That's a Sunday at 2. One of the things that we've talked about is possibly having an outdoor. We don't know what the parameters are or will be yet. Maybe we'll get to have an indoor thing, but I kind of doubt that. Or we doubt that. So we're maybe possibly looking at an outdoor event. And then if it rains, having a rain date. But one of the things I just wanted to bring before the board in regards to the calendar for this year, and there's some options there that I wanted to kind of just reach out and toss out to you, some things that we've talked about that would really help our district, I think, and our staff and our students as we transition into some summer support as well. So a couple things to keep in mind. Right now, the Teachers Institute is set for Thursday, May 27th. And if you go backwards, you have an SIP day on the 26th, and then 2 pupil attendance days on the 24th and 25th. Couple items to keep in mind before I go into the remote learning planning days. We did have a meeting with Petker Construction recently. Remember, this is the 3rd year of the project at the junior high, and we're trying to wrap that up. And so The earlier that they want to get in as early as they can, and I told them no unless we didn't have students there. So anyway, what we're looking at is after Memorial Day, that if we do something like this, that they could probably get in there, which would be earlier than what we had planned on. That's one thing. Two, the district's allowed, because of the issue and the proclamations, each district's allowed remote learning planning days. And those could be used throughout the year, from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. And so those are some days that we're probably looking at possible use here, and they do count towards the 176 attendance requirement. A final calendar has to have 176 days, and all the options that I've kind of thrown in there for you to read. I've talked to the ROE, and in fact, I think they're going to do this for their alternative school after I brought it to them and said, this would really help our district, I think. And they said they probably will use it for their for their alternative school. What we're looking at possibly is if we don't use any more emergency days, and when we talked about this, Kurt and I talked about this, and this was the last week or so, and I know there's no way we're going to have an emergency day. And then you read they were supposed to have sleet and ice Sunday night, So the issue is, instead of Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, we would use those as remote learning planning days instead of student attendance days. And what we would do is, as the board and as in committees, of all the projects that that are ongoing right now. We're talking about interactive board, that type of training. We have Infinite Campus, which is a new software, that training. That doesn't count the regular things like CPR and CTI, which is restraint, and we don't have subs, so we can't get those things done. And some of them we need more than half a day for SIP, for the training and things like that. So, we did one just this past on Infinite Campus because we had a full day on the 15th at Institute, but we only have 4 of those throughout the year, and 3 of them are already gone. So, we just don't have time in the day to do this. So when is that going to be done? Is that going to be done after school, or is that going to be done on a weekend, or more than likely probably over the summer, right? So if we had those days, we would be utilizing those to try to get some of that training completed and up to date. So that's one of the options. The way we've put this is, if we don't use any emergency days, the last day for students would be May 21st on a Friday. And then you'd have graduation on a Sunday, May 23rd. And then Monday and the rest of the next week would be remote learning planning days, which staff would be working, all staff would be working. And now, if we add a snow day or emergency day, until we get to 3, we should be okay. After we get to number 3 or 4, then we would have to have students there on that Monday. We would probably start with a school improvement day, which they'd only be there half a day. So just kind of throwing that out there for discussion and looking through and trying to clarify. I know there's a lot of ifs on this, but looking at this, and if we can try to answer some questions, but really in February, our next meeting is the 22nd of February. Hopefully by that time we'll know, although we always get a snow in March, right? But we should know, hopefully we're only, 12 to 16 weeks left in the year. We would have a better idea. But I think if we set graduation on February 22nd, that gives enough time. But right now, I'll let Kurt talk a little bit just on his thoughts. But this flexibility is only for this year, that unless something happens, right? So it's a way to utilize these days that are provided to school districts that would also help our staff and us meet the requirements that we need to meet. And we are starting to look at what options for summer support. I'm not going to say summer school, it's summer support. It could be a school, it could be something different, but those types of things need to be finalized as well. And so planning will be ongoing, but that time will also help for, and the other thing just came to mind, we have a lot of textbook adoption going on, right? So staff are going to need to finalize, and once that's chosen and those recommendations are brought to the board, and if they're approved, then it's the meeting with the publishers and where do we go from there? So when do we do all of that is part of an issue. It's a big issue. And also taking into account for staff, there'll be some that won't want to participate in summer. And so if we can get some of that done prior to summer, then there's a natural break there for them. So Kurt, I'll turn over if you have any comments.
Well, mine's probably mostly related to graduation and looking at those dates. And so when I started looking at that possibility of dates, the 23rd and the 30th. Really, if nothing changes in the regulations that we have to follow, we're probably looking at another outdoor ceremony of some type. So if we chose to do this on the 23rd, it would give us a reasonable backup date on the 30th, should we need it. So in that regard, I would say that 23rd makes a little bit more sense as far as those go as well. So, I don't know if there's anything specifically you have questions about on that.
I just want to give you an option to speak.
I don't always get it.
There's no real decision to make tonight. Just wanted to get that out to everybody so that you had a chance to read through, because I know there's a lot of options, a lot of what ifs that could happen between now and February. But just let you know, we're thinking about what can we do at the end of the year to meet the needs and help our staff and help our students as well. So those are the types of things. And, and I'll be honest, part of it is so we can get started in the junior high as well. I mean, that plays a role as well, because we're going to have to move 8 classrooms. Anyway, the south end of the junior high is going to have to be packed up and moved. So, and then, yes, the plan is that this will be the last summer for internal junior high work for the project. We always have a fourth stage that we always look at. But are there any questions, just clarification on this at this time? Okay. Well, the thought process is we bring it back at February meeting, and we'd have a better idea if we've had to use any emergency days or, where we would be, and kind of come up with kind of gave you what the end of the year might look like. Okay.
Okay.
So are we going to decide about final exams for second semester?
Yeah, hopefully we can have that discussion and recommendation by the next meeting too.
Because I know we were concerned about making it as early as possible so the kids would know.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Kurt. We're going to go ahead and move on then to the committee reports. We're going to start with the curriculum, biology, 2 courses at EHS.
I think Shelley's going to talk a little bit about that.
Well, last year we did the review for all of the high school and the junior high science textbooks, and in the process of that conversation was kind of a review of all the courses that we offer at high school level especially. And part of the discussion at the committee level was, are the classes preparing our students for college, and not just entry-level science classes in college, but those upper-level rigorous, if you're on a science medical track. So the science department at the high school discussed it, and in the midst of all of the adoption that they were doing last year, they decided that the biotechnology class that was offered at the high school was not really adequately preparing our students. So what they had decided to do was delay just that one class so they could have some more time to kind of think through the whole process, get all of the other courses kind of taken care of. And then, so we've come back around to it basically this school year, which was the plan. And decided to turn it into, we already have a biology class, but that biotechnology class will basically be removed and it's going to be replaced with an advanced biology class that they're going to call Biology 2, which will get into much deeper, topics. It would be, it's not going to be called an AP class, but it would be the class that, anybody can go take the College Board AP test. It would be the kind of class that you could go take the AP College Board biology test. So, but we need it approved by the board so that we can get it out there for the students so that they can elect to take it. And then in the process, they're already reviewing, the teachers are already reviewing the textbooks that they may want to use. But the first step in the process is getting the course adopted by the board.
Is there any questions for Shelley or Mark? Okay. If not, did you have anything else you want to add?
No, I'm fine. Thanks.
If not, we would need a motion and a second to approve Biology 2 course at EHS beginning with the 21-22 school year.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Jill, we have a second.
I'll second.
Second, Robin, roll call.
Jane Wellenberg.
Yes.
Kathleen Smith, yes. Steve Bone.
Yes.
Angie Byers.
Yes.
Robin Klosterman.
Yes.
Brad Waldoff.
Yes.
Jill Winling.
Yes.
Go ahead and moving on to opportunity for sharing by the board. Do we have any members that wish to share anything with us?
Seems like such a long.
When you can't go out and go a lot of places and go in the buildings, I feel like, we can't wait till the buildings are open again and we can go visit and see all these things going on. And we have these events to go to and
We'll get there.
I know we will.
I do feel like I feel a sense of appreciation from staff that administration's really doing a great job with rolling with the punches with COVID and adapting and being gracious and flexible with everyone. So that's appreciated.
Well, I appreciate that, and I think our principals and assistant principals and have done a great job of trying to answer questions that no one has answers to. So, and also, Jenny and Shelley and Jason. So I certainly appreciate everyone's working hard, everyone's working together, trying to make it through this. And we will get to a better spot here in the future. I do know, and I think I've shared with the board, and I'd like to share publicly, that we do have people that call. I know I have received calls in regards from other districts about what are you doing? How do you do this? Why is it working so well? And all that. And that goes back to our students and staff and parents and our administrators. And so, it's good to see that maybe this wasn't the goal that we were all wanting to try to address, but the idea of building that culture back in regards to working together to get things done. And so appreciate that for all our people.
I do think that the public also really appreciates the COVID number updates that they're getting on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
So that's helpful too.
Well, it's a lot easier to put the ones out today. Friday, we didn't get them out, but today we got them out. But I'm hoping, it's just, I feel for, especially at the high school and junior high level, it's been a revolving door. I feel bad for our students, but they're adaptable, a lot more so than us as adults sometimes. But Kurt and his staff and Tony and the teaching staff and the secretaries trying to keep up with that is a huge undertaking. So we do the best we can, and we'll keep pushing to see if we can continue to open things up and in a responsible way. So we'll keep moving forward.
Okay. Moving on, we need a motion and a second to enter into closed session for the appointment, employment compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the district, collective negotiating matters between the district and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees, and student discipline.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion Kathleen, second Robin, roll call.
Kathleen Smith, yes. Steve Bone?
Yes.
Angie Byers?
Yes.
Robin Klosterman?
Yes.
Brad Waldoff?
Yes.
Jill Enling?
Yes.
Jane Willenberg?
Yes.
We will be back after closed session.
Can you turn these off?